Okay, India has got a role to play with the talent pool we have got and the right incentives that we give it to them, the right opportunities we make available to them. I think we are in for a very, very glorious future. There is no question about it. I'm exceedingly optimistic about it. Is the educational institution geared up to meet not today's skill gap, but tomorrow's skill requirement? Okay, for that, is the government willing to put the investment in it? But it's not only the government. It is a three-way partnership. It is the educational institution one, the government on the one side, second side, and the third angle is the private industry.
Hello, welcome G Chris TV viewers. Wish you all in advance a happy and prosperous Diwali. Hope you must have seen my 11-part travel videos on G Chris TV. As of 2023, you must have seen in the newspaper, more than 2 lakh students, Indian students got enrolled in US universities. In fact, they say this year we are outbid Chinese enrollment in overseas education in US. India stands first. In today's advanced technology and communication facilities, it is very easy for any undergraduate student to plan, seek details regarding the overseas institutions, prepare themselves and get enrolled. They can also decide even the fellow hostel mates sitting in Chennai or any part of India. So that is all possible because of the advanced communication facilities, social media, where you get all sort of information for the past few decades. But just think of 50 or 55 years ago when someone has done 2 master's degree in computer science. I repeat, it is in computer science and also in business administration. I am talking about late 60s and in the 70s. In today's interview, we are going to meet a technocrat who did 2 master's degree in US, then climbed the ladder. He became a MD and CEO of a multinational company. So I am going to do a separate interview as Musicologist Shri V V Sundaram on my another YouTube channel, G Chris Bhakti TV, which I'll be uploading later. It is a great pleasure on behalf of G Chris TV to welcome Shri V V Sundaram, fondly called Cleveland Sundaram. Thank you, sir, for accepting my request to do this interview. I know you have a busy schedule, especially during the Navaratri time. So on behalf of G Chris TV, I thank you.
Namaste. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's a delight to greet the viewers here as well as to interact with you on G Chris TV.
Sir, as I said in my introduction about you, current scenario, very easy to seek information and get admission into overseas education, whether it is in US or Europe or any country. But late 1960s and early 70s, Shri V V Sundaram has done his master's degree in computer science as well as in post-graduation in business administration. Actually, astonished to know this because as we know those days, if I remember, I think we had a overseas mail, that is communication used to come. I don't know whether we had that phone facility, maybe VVIPs at the highest level you would have had, or they go to the post office to make a call.
Correct.
So, first of all, how did you get the information that some particular course is available in that university? Secondly, how did you weigh this? We'll have to do this course because now, of course, computer science is in great demand, we know. But in late 50s and 60s, how come you were able to join in this course?
Okay, this is a very interesting question because I came to Calcutta in the year 1964 looking for a job. Came from deep south, Tirunelveli. And I didn't know Hindi and I didn't know any of the ways in which things happen in Bombay. So I wrote an exam, competitive exam that was conducted by Union Carbide to select people to be trained in computers because the India's first computer was coming at that time to Union Carbide, the name of the company. And they wanted trainees to come get trained in computer science. I had no idea about computers or anything like that. I wrote an exam. I was told that I did exceedingly well. Let me put it that way. Maybe in the top, I was in that. So they called me for an interview. Walter McGee is an American who interviewed me, I'll never forget. And he asked me a question. I couldn't understand his English. I couldn't answer a single question that he asked. I just looked at him and kept saying, pardon me, like that, because I have come from a Tamil medium school before. Then he called his HR guy and said that, listen, give me a job, because he hasn't answered a single question of what I asked. But he has done exceedingly well in the competitive exam, which was done on an all India basis.
Okay.
So give me a job. That's all he said. That's how I got into the computer field. That was the first computer to come into India.
See, you mean Union Carbide?
Union Carbide company. And I was one of the first few people in all of India to get trained in computer programming. It was an IBM 1401 computer. 1401 IBM. 9 months I was with the company. My boss was one Dr M V Pai. M Vasudevan Pai. He had his PhD from Purdue University. So he was my boss. 9 months later, Dunlop Tyre Company wanted to get a computer. And there was only one other company where trained computer people were there. So they lured all of us by paying me at that time a fabulous salary. So I switched companies from Union Carbide to Dunlop Tyre Company in Calcutta. I was working in a small village called Shahaganj. That's where the Dunlop factory was there. Vasudevan Pai, my boss in Union Carbide, kept in touch with me. Called me one day and he said that he was very kind, very generous man, I guess. That's why he said that. Very, very bright guy. I don't want you to be spending your time in this country. I wanted to go and get a higher education in the United States. So how do I do? I have no idea. So there are no telephones, there are no Xerox machines or anything like that. So take what you call an aerogram, fill up a letter, write to these 10 universities. I will give you letters of recommendation. I am a PhD from United States. So they will take my recommendation seriously, he said. This is after I left the company. 3 years later, he is doing that to me. Such a generous person. Extremely generous. There are people who may be very mad, saying that I trained you, after 9 months you left me and went to another company. No, he was in touch with me. So I wrote about 4 or 5 universities. He said, study computer science. Okay. And I got admission in about 4 universities. Out of 10 universities I applied to, 4 of them. He said, I had no money to go. No money to even take a flight out of India. So he said, no. Write to them saying that you want a scholarship. They'll give it to you. So I wrote all of them. And almost all of them said that we will give you complete financial aid, which means they'll pay my tuition fees, they'll pay my living expenses. All of that. Graduate assistantship. So I accepted one of them, University of Pittsburgh. Then I went and asked him, what do I do for my airfare? That was in those days, one way is about 4,500 rupees. Okay. Go to Syndicate Bank and go to the manager and tell him that you are going to United States for studies. You are getting a monthly stipend and they will give you a loan for your air flight. So I went to Syndicate Bank, met the manager
in
Calcutta. The manager was a Bengali guy who talked to me. He was very happy that I'm going to the US and he said, I will give you a loan. No problem at all. Just sign a paper saying that monthly you will pay me, so much of installment. So he gave me 4,500 rupees towards the airfare. That's how I went to the US to study computer science because of my ex-boss, M. Vasudevan Pai, Dr. M. Vasudevan Pai.
Otherwise, they would ask for a collateral secretary even for
all sorts of things. First of all, I would not even know how to go to the US. I would not even have the idea of going to the US. Okay, that you go to the US and you don't worry about expenses. University will take care of that. Study computer science. That's how he advised me. He was a very generous soul. I can never forget him. But for him, I would not have gone.
Okay, actually, chief official from the Union Carbide, as well as Mr. Pai, I think facilitated you to travel to US and make a beginning.
Yes, Walter McGee had phenomenal trust in the way in which the tests were conducted. It was done on an all India basis and he said that you did really well in that. And in fact, he said you are the topper. He said you are the number one. Okay. So even though you didn't understand my English, I can teach you English. One of the statements he made was this: I can take an average guy who may be very good in English language. He may not be able to handle the technological need of a new technology that is coming in computer science that is coming in. But I can take a bright guy who may not have the language skills. I can teach the language skills, but he'll be able to grasp the nuances of a new technology. So I'm giving you a job, he said.
Sir, actually you were facilitated all the way to go to US. Did you find any other students from India studying with you in those days? Actually, I got one more question also. Did you make an attempt for IITs in India? I think IIT was there from 1951.
Yes, it was there actually. I did write an exam and other thing for IIT, and I went to Madurai to write the exam, and I did not get through it. Okay, I attended a couple of engineering interviews and other thing in Madurai and in Trichy and other thing, and I did not get through any one of the engineering colleges also. So ultimately, I said that we also cannot afford at that time to go to a private quote unquote engineering college. We didn't have the kind of resources. Family did not have those resources. So I decided to study study B.Sc in Physics and Mathematics at St. Xavier's College. We were in Tirunelveli. So in Palayam Kottai, there was a St. Xavier's College. I got enrolled in that one and I pursued my B.Sc there. It's a 3-year degree. When I graduated, I was 19 years old and family circumstances were such that I had to go for a job immediately. I did get admitted into Madras Institute of Technology, MIT, in Kurumpet. I also got admitted into Indian Institute of Science at Bangalore. For a year. After the B.Sc, you can do an engineering. But I could not afford to go for that. I had to take care of the family. So I decided to go for a job.
Did you find any Indian students when you joined in US?
In the US, when I went, in a university like University of Pittsburgh, which has got an enrollment of approximately about 8 to 10,000 people every year, fresh students will be taken. I would say that about 3 to 4 Indians will be there. Yeah. Right now, it is a different thing. You might have read in the paper that 2 lakhs of visas were given, student visas were given. You can go to any university in the United States. There will be a good number of Indians will be there in all disciplines. But when I went in 1969 for my master's degree in computer science, in all of the University of Pittsburgh, maybe there were about 4 or 5 Indians will be there. Vegetarian food was not available that easily. You have to learn to cook. So I bought a book called Samaithu Par by Meenakshi Ammal.
Okay.
That was the book I used to learn to cook actually myself.
But how about after college hours, the environment outside? Nowadays, of course, you have a lot of Indian sabhas, Indian society.
Correct.
Where you can always, still you won't miss an Indian scenario in US. But what about those days?
That is a very good question. I'll tell you why. I grew up in an environment in which we were essentially surrounded by quote unquote the classical Indian culture. Okay, in my house, usually the only music you hear is Carnatic music. Nothing more than that. That's the only thing I heard growing up and other things. I was in Calcutta for 4 years. It's a member of the Rasikaranjani Sabha over there. I'll go and attend the concerts there and others. Come to United States. I was a graduate student and there was nothing. It was like a desert as far as classical Indian music was concerned. That is the reason why in 1970 I came in 1969 September to United States. In 1970, I and a bunch of other people decided to have Indian classical music and dance so that we can bring it to various cities. We decided to do it. There's a selfish reason so that we can also listen to that one and don't be too homesick, so to say.
Actually, I'm going to have a separate interview with you as a musicologist on my G. Krish Bhakti TV. So I'll come to that subject later. Now, continuing with our subject, your overseas studies. Have you completed your master's in computer application? You had the job opportunity straight away?
Yes. The moment I was, even before I finished my master's degree, I finished all my coursework and I did a thesis work on that one. At that time, I applied for a job and in Cleveland, Ohio, there's a Standard Oil of Ohio. That was the name of the company. Major oil company that used to be the largest oil company in the world, founded by John D. Rockefeller. And that company interviewed me and offered me a job. They asked me to join immediately in the month of April. I needed 2 more months to finish my thesis work. They said that no, you come and join, take the job, finish your thesis while you are working and get your master. That's how I did. While I was working in Standard Oil of Ohio, a very interesting thing happened. This is something I feel very warm-hearted about. I'm brown-skinned. I speak with a different accent. I'm not the majority white people who were at that time employed. There are not many dark-skinned people. But my boss looked at me and said that you have the potential to go up in this organization. 2 things you have to do. Go and get a MBA. Don't leave the job. Company will pay for your MBA. Completely. And then I will put you on a track so that you will have increasing responsibility over time in this company. Go and get a MBA. So in Case Western Reserve University, which is in Cleveland, I got admitted into the MBA program. And Standard Oil of Ohio completely paid for my education. That's why I got my second graduate degree. First was master's degree in computer science. Second one is master's degree in business administration. And then the company called me and then they said that, no, you need additional qualification. So they sent me to Colorado School of Mines to learn petroleum refining because it's a petroleum refining company. It's an oil company. And then they said that you need to understand the economics and finances. They sent me to Duke University for a study in econometrics. The company was exceedingly supportive. Not only me, anybody who showed the progress, they were essentially very, very supportive. And I was very thankful for that. Exceedingly thankful for that.
Whether I should say they spotted the talent in Kolkata and made you to come to USA and they encouraged you. They have actually encouraged the right person with brilliant
But the most important message here is this. The person who got that, and as you know, I became an MD and CEO later, is the person who could not get through an engineering exam. So today we think that unless you get this grade, unless you pass this exam, I'm not going to give you an opportunity. No, okay? Opportunities can be given because talents are not measured by certain tests alone, okay? So in that sense, I'm grateful that a lot of people saw beyond what is on the surface and gave me a break. At every step of the way, I have been given a break.
Now, coming back to your higher education in US, how was it in 60s and 70s? How commercialized in US now? Can we say commercialized, and has it been upgraded in academically?
Technology-wise, course content-wise, and everything, American universities are keeping up with what's happening in terms of the progress in various fields. They continuously upgrade their curriculum and the way in which they test you and everything else. In that sense, education in the American universities is no different than in India. In India also it is happening. Worldwide it is happening. And American universities also keeping pace with technological innovation that is taking place. And then they are looking at it from two different angles. One is that how do I prepare my students so that they are ready to take on the demands of the new industrial scene outside that, so that they can get a job, they can become productive, they can become useful. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is that how do I make you so that you have a curiosity, you have got a propensity to learn new things, because the technology for which I am preparing you is transient. Tomorrow this is going to be superseded by something else. Okay? You should be, what you learn is not important, how you learn is more important. And that is something that the American universities do exceedingly well, according to me. I have taught at the American universities also, two of the universities, and I know what kind of an expectation is there by the higher people, administration people, in terms of instruction, in terms of curriculum and everything.
Sir, with your master's degree in two courses, in computer science as well as in business administration, added to that, you are also providing teaching assistant, rather part-time faculty in a few universities. All the more, you were a successful businessman, successful technocrat by the appropriate authorities in India or in Tamil Nadu. Mr. V V Sundaram, we will give us the ways to improve, to attract overseas students to India, so that our Indian university can be move up in the scale, can be upgraded. So I want your thoughts on this.
Yes, this is very much an achievable one. You got a tremendous amount of talent pool in this country to take education to the next level so that it becomes one of the very best educational opportunities in the whole world. It can be done. So what is needed? Okay. Today, what we are trying to achieve is churn out essentially technicians. There was an accusation that was made when we got independence from the British, saying that the British education was there only to produce clerks to serve the British Empire. Nothing more than that. Education did not go beyond that. That was the accusation at that time. Today, you can come out and say that most of the education is what we call skill-based or craft-based. Okay, tomorrow I need somebody. This is where I see a gap in terms of skills. I'm going to tailor my education so that my students can learn that skill and go there. That is not going to be the most attractive thing for people who want to seriously pursue education. Number one, you need to look into that and say that, will the university be defining what is the cutting edge of the technology? For example, in the United States, if they want to send in the 1960s, they wanted to send the man to the moon. NASA wanted to send the man. And it happens even today. They call up about 15, 20 different universities and gives them grant and saying that, what is the technology I need to take a man to the moon? There's a rocket, there's fuel, there's propulsion, there's all sorts of things, there's anti-gravity things will be there. Okay, can you do the research and tell us? Okay, and give us the benefit of your research. Get foreign students if it comes down to that. Get the domestic, local students, whoever you want, whoever can produce that, ask them to come in and do the research and give me the research. That's what we have to do. You look ahead and say that where the world is going, where technology is going, okay, is the educational institution geared up to meet not today's skill gap, but tomorrow's skill requirement. Okay, for that, is the government willing to put the investment in it? But it's not only the government. It is a three-way partnership. It is the educational institution one, the government on the one side, second side, and the third angle is the private industry. The private industry says that I look at the market, and tomorrow, as an example, let us say drone technology in India is going to become a very big one. Okay, I as an entrepreneur want to start a drone company. What are the inhibitors on that one? Okay, and I will give money to the university so that you do the research and tell me how do I overcome the following shortfalls that exist today in the technology that doesn't make the drone technology viable or cost effective. So it's a three-way partnership, and that partnership, if it happens, When the university become, the colleges become the hub of innovation, you will automatically attract foreigners. For example, why do companies, why do citizens, why do countries encourage their citizens to go to the US or to Germany or to Japan, for example, to study? Why? Because they say that not only you will learn the technology, even if 10 to 20% of you return back to India, you will bring the technology. I'm going to benefit by that. The same thinking the foreign countries will also have, looking at Indian entrepreneurship and other things coming out of the academic world, the research that is coming out of the world, of the Indian university, and say that you can even call it spying. I'm going to send a bunch of people to learn that what is it you guys are doing. Let me give you one example. The space exploration that India is doing it. The mission to Mars cost 10% of what NASA can do it. 1/10 the cost. In fact, the mission to Mars cost less than a movie that was made in Hollywood about a Mars mission. It cost less than. Yet India was able to send a satellite all the way over and get valuable information. More you do things like that, the more you will start attracting foreign students to come. Today, NASA is interested in collaborating with India. NASA, which is the organization that put the first man on the moon, now is coming to India saying that why don't we collaborate? You strengthen the universities in terms of fundamental research, number one. Strengthen the university in terms of applied research, both. Because we are today concentrating only on the applied research. Okay, how do I use the technology that is existing to apply it for making following things? Do your fundamental research. Look into that. What else is possible? Where do we want to go further beyond that one? You do this one, and your educational standard will go up tremendously. Partnership between the industry, government, and the educational institution, all three, you will start getting this reverse flow of students. As I said, 200,000 people are now going to United States. You will start finding that people will be coming from that.
So that was a very good analysis, observation by you. I hope whatever the thoughts you have given should reach the concerned authorities so that our Indian university also can be on par with the international universities, so that we can also attract students from overseas to study in India.
Yes.
So that was well said. Thank you, Mr. Sundaram, on that point. Sir, any other message you wish to convey to G Chris TV viewers?
Very, very interesting. There is no message per se for G Chris viewers. I'm not that big a man to give a message or anything, but I'll make some observations. India has got a tremendous, large pool of talent. There's no question about that. It doesn't matter where you go. It's not just in the cities or anything. Go into the rural areas, wherever it is, you will find talent. We have found talents. When I was running a company here, we have gone to the some of the rural areas and picked up people over there, and they have turned out to be extremely gifted people who have gone all over the world, made a name for themselves. Okay, so the one thing that we can be very sure about is the abundant pool of talent that is available in. The only thing we need is opportunities. Opportunities if we create the right opportunities. Opportunities if we create. Okay, this is a country that produced a Ramanujan. Nobody has born after that to equal Ramanujan. Go back a bit early, okay, all the way to from Kalidasa's time onwards. We are not only in literature but also in science and mathematics and other things in medicine. We had trendsetters in this country. Okay, so we have a hoary tradition. We get a legacy, and the legacy continues and endures. So given that large talent pool that we have got, I feel that the future really belongs to us. Not in the sense of excluding everybody else, but taking everybody together, the word Vasudeva Kudumbam, as they say. Okay, India has got a role to play with the talent pool we have got, and the right incentives that we give it to them, the right opportunities we make available to them. I think we are in for a very, very glorious future. There is no question about it. I'm exceedingly optimistic about it.
Sir, you went, I think, late 60s to US, and it is now, I think, more than 50 years.
Correct.
Were you in US throughout? Which all countries you visited? And what is your contribution to Indian society? I'm eager to know on this.
I went to the US in 1969, as you know, and worked for 20 years over there after my education. And came back to India, primarily for family reasons. I wanted to bring my children here, go through an Indian educational system, be with the grandparents and others, get to know the cousins and others, get to know our culture, and get to know our language, Tamil, Sanskrit, all of them. So I brought my children. I got 3 boys. They're all born in the US. I brought them over here and chose Chennai to be the place, and thinking that that's where the cultural heritage can be given fully to my children. Then I had an opportunity to work for a software company that was just starting up. That essentially took me to all over the world. There are very few countries I haven't visited. I also had an opportunity, as we grew the company, software company, to set up branches in Japan, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Philippines, for example, and then in Middle East, and then in Europe, in 3-4 different places, and so on. So I have frequent travel to all these countries. So I would say that about 70 to 80% of my time was international travel. I'll be in India only for about 20% of. So what is the contribution to the Indian society? Okay, I would say this. Number one, we grew the company from less than about 50 people at that time to Chennai alone in a matter of about 6 years, about 2,000 software engineers. And then we got in Bombay, we got in Hyderabad, Bangalore, we had branches and other things. And as I said, all over the world we branches also. So one is that employment opportunity, we gave it to the people. And the computer field was at that time very nascent. It was just coming out. So we essentially had to take people with an engineering or a science background and then give them the training ourselves. We give them the cut of the technologically leading this one skills we imparted. That's one thing.
It is in the early 90s, you mean?
It is in the early 90s. And then one other thing I also looked into at that time at a personal level. We had a company value. Company value was very, very clear. The number one focus was the employee focus. We take care of the employees, number one. Number two, the second focus was a customer focus. Whatever the customer needs, whatever this one fulfillment has to be done, we have to do that one. But the first priority is employees. Employees' welfare is the number one. Number two is customer focus. Number three is what we call stakeholder, shareholder focus. Very often companies will say that maximize the shareholder value, then do everything. He said, no, that's the third one. As far as we were concerned in India. Shareholder one was the third one. The fourth focus was the community. We operate in this community. We have an obligation to give it back to the community. So one other thing we decided was that to go into the nearby areas, take corporation schools, which will not have a lot of resources compared to private schools, and give them whatever is needed so that children can have a better education. I want to give an example. Valluvar Gurukulam, 1 year I went there. I spoke
near
to
Tambaram.
And I addressed them. I spoke to them in Tamil. And I said, what is your pass percentage? 25 to 30%. So I turned to the people who were in the 12th grade at that time and I said, I don't care what marks you get. You just pass the 12th. If you pass the 12th, I'll take you. Next door is MEPS. We'll take you there and give you a computer education. In those days, it will cost about 2 lakhs of rupees. Put you through an undergraduate degree and get you a job. All I am asking you to pass. Now, in the Tamil, very that year was a 100% pass. If you give opportunities, people respond. We took all of them. We gave them the training. I could not absorb everybody in my company. So I called about 20 other companies and asked them to take each one of them to 3 or 4 people. Everybody got a job. Everybody pursued on a part-time basis a B.Sc and then an MCA, became productive member of the society. We went through various colleges, mostly women's colleges. Okay, I'm talking about in the 1990s early. Because if you look at the IT industry, it was heavily male-dominated. 70 to 80% of the people were males. So I said, no, we have to have a 50-50 balance. So we went to girls' colleges, picked up the people who did a B.Sc or a B.Com or a B.A. Okay, and these are the people who are never considered for IT jobs. I said, hire them through a competitive exam and other things, and then give them computer training and simultaneously put them through an MCA program so that they will get an MCA degree after 3 years. And we made sure that 40 to 45% of our software professionals were females, but not at the entry level alone. I had about 6 or 7 people reporting to me, what we call C-level executives, so to say. 3 of them are women. At every level, we made sure that women were employed. At a manager level, at a vice president level, at a C-level position. Chief technology officer, chief of training, for example, chief of HR, chief of finance, like that. So that is something we as a company, I don't want to take any claim myself. My boss and my company allowed me to do all of those. They gave me a complete freedom to do these things. They never interfered, okay? And very proud that we were pioneers in that at that point.
Actually, if I can say that, you all did this much before that CSR came into effect.
Yes.
Corporate social responsibility legislation was passed.
That is correct.
Where you transfer part of the profit into non-marketing activities.
Absolutely. This was far earlier than that we did that. We did other things like, we had a gym actually built into this office premises. We had a cafeteria where 24 hours a day you will get food. We had a dormitory. If you are very tired, you can go and sleep for 2 hours, come back and work if you want. And we had a nursery for young mothers. Okay, bring the child, because when you are at work, you'll be thinking about your child. It is a small child. What is it doing? Is it? You might have left it to their grandparents. Did they take care of the child or so? I said, no, bring the child to the company. We had a nursery. We had a nurse, attendant nurse. We had a doctor, pediatrician come every day to come and visit the nursery and make sure that children haven't fallen sick or anything like that. All those things we did. So somebody from Microsoft came and visited us. They said that even in Seattle, we don't make this kind of facilities available to our employees. That was a very, very fulfilling statement for me too.
It is I think very nice to hear that.
Yes, yes.
I think you contributed back to the society whatever possible way. So thank you, sir. Shri V V Sundaram. Of course, I should say Cleveland Sundaram.
Yes.
So which I am going to do a separate interview.
Okay.
I think as a technocrat, you have given an insight how you studied in those days, and you also mentioned how Indian universities can be upgraded. You also mentioned that actually it was touching that even before CSR was implemented, you along with your team have contributed back to the Indian society. And now I think you are playing the role of musicologist. That interview, you are providing a link. I understand you providing the longest cultural link between Chennai, rather Tamil Nadu, and Cleveland, USA.
Yes.
So with that part of interview, we will see you on G. Krish Bhakti TV. Sir, on behalf of G. Krish TV, I want to thank you, Shri V V Sundaram, sir, more fondly called Cleveland Sundaram. Pertaining to this part of the interview, you have given your rich experience, how you did that higher studies in USA those days. You are, of course, academically brilliant, and you have gone up to the ladder as a MD and CEO, and your experience as a technocrat, and also how you used your rich experience back to India and developed the institution which you are mentioning in your interview. And you also, now they call it as women empowerment, employing the right people, the right job, encouraging, even though they may not be brilliant, but they can be trained and developed. So I think we require many Sundarams like you to improve our Indian society. This will be sending a positive message to all G. Krish viewers that we should emulate Shri V V Sundaram. Thank you, sir. Much obliged, much honored for sparing your time for this interview.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be part of G. Krish TV's endeavor on this particular one. I thoroughly enjoyed my interaction with you. Thank you for the opportunity.